Hi, I'm Sherry Strong, chef, nutritionist, and food philosopher. And if you're watching this video, perhaps you've tried to give up sugar, and maybe you had success for a day, a week, a month, even 6 months. But it was just a matter of time before sugar actually lured you back into its sweet embrace. Or maybe you haven't even tried to give up sugar because the thought of it is so overwhelming that you don't even know where to start. Well, I want you to know that you're not alone in feeling this way. Despite having success in other areas of your life, so your family, your work, and even perhaps being really knowledgeable about nutrition, you still can't quite manage to give up sugar. And perhaps you've tried different diets, the paleo, vegan, keto, or even the potato diet. And perhaps you've even had some moderate success with them, but you still keep ending up on the cycle of yo-yo dieting, or even worse, completely giving up. By this time, you might feel like you're an expert on all the options that are out there. Having tried what feels like every diet under the sun and being pretty educated about junk food and what it's doing to your body, you still haven't managed to cut it out. So if we know how bad sugar is for us, why do we keep going back to it? In this Sugar Masterclass video series, I'm going to be answering that question, sharing with you practical, actionable steps you can take right away to break the hold that sugar has on you, so you can start to heal your relationship with food in a sustainable, regenerative, long-term way. I want you to know that I absolutely know what it feels like to be in your position. This is what I looked like 20 years ago, more than twice my present size. My whole concept of self-worth was wrapped up in the tiny numbers written on the scale I stepped onto every morning, starting my day sometimes with a whole liter of chocolate ice cream to comfort myself as I continue to watch those numbers creep up. I know what it's like to look down at your body and feel nothing but self-loathing, doubt, and helplessness. Having been overweight during childhood and throughout my adulthood, I tried everything. Pills, potions, diets. I even went to a gym that had machines that moved your body parts for you. I was miserable and desperate. I would look in the mirror and was deeply unhappy with what I saw. I fell into a deep depression, and then I used sugar to help me cope with that, which of course made everything worse. I became an emotional eating disaster, and I fell into a level of depression that was so bad, I wanted to kill myself. The truth is I didn't know how to love myself. And although I know food played a part, what I knew even more so is I didn't want to live my life eating rabbit food to reach some target weight. But I knew something had to change. Sugar was my Achilles heel, and I couldn't let it win. I had to learn to take my weaknesses and turn it into my strengths. But this didn't happen overnight. Sugar addiction is a real thing. And I embarked on a journey almost 2 decades long to not only lose the weight and keep it off, but to develop a healthy relationship with food and my body. To this day, I still occasionally have chocolate ice cream. Some things never change. But the difference is that I am in control of the quality and the quantity, and it makes a difference. It doesn't trigger an all-out sugar binge. You see, what I've learned is that it wasn't actually about the sugar. And I want to share more about this later in the video series. During my time as a chef and training to be a nutritionist, I had 2 major revelations. Number 1, I was 100% a sugar addict inside and out. And number 2, I had it within me to change this. Over time, I achieved something that I once thought was impossible. You see, I learned that food and sugar addiction was about way more than food. Of course, food is important, and I'm going to show you how to manage that piece in the next video in this series, but I want you to know that it goes way beyond what we're putting in our mouths. What I learned is that how we eat really matters, along with the who, the where, the what, and the why. But it wasn't until I started to look at my relationship with food in a truly holistic way, that means mentally, emotionally, spiritually, as well as physically, that shifts started to happen and where I had long-term success with my relationship with food. On top of losing the weight, feeling healthier, getting rid of chronic pain, and sleeping better, I finally felt freedom, and it was sweet freedom. Freedom from the addiction of food, freedom from feeling like I was missing out, freedom from terrible cravings, freedom from binging, and feeling free enough to start to truly learn to love myself. I didn't want to live a life of strict discipline where walking past a candy store or bakery, I would have to grit my teeth and fight everything within me to not go in. To me, that's not freedom. I can now walk past a candy store or bakery and genuinely not feel tempted. To me, that is sweet freedom. I found a freedom where I was in control of sugar and sugar wasn't in control of me. And I've been on this sweet freedom path for over a decade now. It's not about your size or the resources you have. I've been both twice my size and half my present size. And in both states, I was unhappy because my relationship with food and myself was still unhealthy. You see, sugar doesn't discriminate. I've helped people from all walks of life find their sweet freedom. From philanthropist, billionaire, Dragon's Den investor W. Brett Wilson to legendary hockey player Theo Fleury, and in fact to other nutritionists, artists, bankers, teachers, and retail workers, who are all struggling with their relationship to food in their body. One of the most important things I realize is that it's not about the numbers on the scale or about weighing yourself. It's about focusing on developing a healthy relationship with food in your body over the long term. Quite often diets focus on the numbers. So the number of the outfit you're wearing, the number on the scale, the number of calories, the number of how much your food weighs, rather than truly focusing on what makes the big difference. And that is learning how to truly nourish yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, and how that impacts your self-worth. At Sweet Freedom, we believe that developing a healthy relationship with food in your body begins with getting real about what you're eating. It's all about being super honest. So I'm going to start by getting super honest with you. Going on this journey is no overnight fix. Developing a healthy relationship with sugar is about understanding the hold that sugar has on you and the impact that has on your daily life. In this first video, I'm going to share with you the first essential step that I needed to take in order to tackle my sugar addiction. And this is something that you can implement right away. In the second video, we're going to explore how you can effectively learn how to nourish your body in a way that's actually going to heal the damage done by sugar addiction and will also help you reduce your sugar cravings, curb your sugar cravings, and do this in a way where you're now starting to adapt your palate to nourishing, energizing, and health-giving foods. Plus, we're going to introduce you to some yummy recipes that you can start to share with your friends and family right away. Moving on to the third video, and this is a big one that's near and dear to my heart, emotional eating. Maybe you're an overeater, a secret eater, or a late night snacker like I was. Whatever your style, when you're eating junk food and sugar, it can make you feel like you have absolutely no control over what's happening. I'm going to share with you how to start to listen to your body so you'll be able to distinguish the difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger. And by doing that step, you're going to go a long way to heal the scars left behind by emotional eating. In the last video of this Sugar Masterclass series, I'm going to share with you the one thing that you must do in order to stay sugar-free long term. So sit back, relax, grab your favorite cup of herbal tea, and I'm going to share with you the first step you must take towards your journey of sweet freedom. So, you're over at your friend's house and they've bought some donuts, and there's this little voice in the back of your head that says, you probably shouldn't have any. You had some cake earlier and you're not even hungry. And then there's this louder voice that says, oh my God, I love donuts. You start salivating and imagining how good they're going to taste, how great they're going to feel. And before you know it, you've eaten 3. The cravings are strong, and it's almost like they take over and you start to channel your inner cookie monster or donut monster. The simple truth is, sugar is an addictive drug. A drug that is legal, socially acceptable, super cheap, and lurking in almost every food we see. Comprehensive brain scans show that sugar lights up the brain's dopamine receptors 8 times more than cocaine. This doesn't necessarily correlate that sugar is more addictive than cocaine, but it does highlight that our brains find sugar incredibly moreish. But you knew that already. In order to make any progress, you have to start treating your relationship with sugar like an addiction. Imagine a world without cookies, donuts, ice cream, ketchup, sodas. Would you be okay with that? Would your family be okay with that? Or would you be scouring the streets looking for the nearest sugar dealer? Accepting that you're an addict doesn't mean you're to blame, but it does mean you have to accept responsibility. But here's the distinction. You have to stop judging yourself and being hard on yourself, because so often we will beat ourselves up when we give in to our cravings. As with any addiction, you need to approach this strategically. Going cold turkey right away rarely works for anyone long term. If I told you you need to stop eating sugar and exclusively eat vegetables, you'd probably shut off this video and go and eat some ice cream. What you need is a strategy that will take you through this one step at a time. Our bodies need nourishment. And because of the way sugar is processed, not only is it highly addictive and has 0 nutrients in it, it can actually strip nutrients from your body. So very simply put, when you're eating processed sugars, your body is getting overloaded with empty sugars and it's not getting the nourishment and nutrients that it needs. And if you're not getting any nourishment, you're in a continual state of always wanting more, because sugar, and empty sugars in particular, will never satisfy you. They will always leave you, let me say it again, wanting more. And what's the thing you always want most after having sugar? More sugar. So the first step on your journey to sweet freedom is to start to introduce more nourishment to your body, because the more you're nourished, the less you're going to crave. And the best way to start to do this is with something that I call the replace principle. The replace principle is super important because what it's going to get you to do is to take away empty sugars and replace those with natural sugars that have nutrients in them. So what we're looking for is the most natural form of sugar that we can actually access. So if you think about it, the further away that sugar is processed away from its natural state, the more addictive, the more toxic it's going to be, and the less nutrients it's going to have. So I refer to high fructose corn syrup as the crack cocaine of the sugar world, right? White sugar is cocaine of the sugar world, and sucanat or rapadura or coconut palm sugar is kind of like the opium sap of the sugar world. Okay, so it's least processed, so there's still nutrients in it. The body can recognize and deal with it better. It doesn't mean that it's a free-for-all to have large amounts of it. That's still going to create problems in your body, but you're starting to adapt your body to having better quality choices of those sugars. What we're looking for in our sugars are things that you can find naturally in nature. The further away from nature, the more addictive they're going to be. So found in nature, fruit, honey, tree saps before they're boiled down, and whole leaf stevia. Then to more minimally processed things like coconut palm sugar and maple syrup. These are kinds of things that are minimally processed, so they're not using chemicals. And that leads us to the things you definitely want to avoid are the processed and the highly processed. So things like white sugar, even the brown sugars, demerara, and especially things like high fructose corn syrup or anything with "-ose" at the end, or that you can't pronounce or you need a science degree to figure out what exactly they are. Those are the things you absolutely want to avoid. So if, say, white bread is your version of sugar, because we have a lot of people who are savory sugar addicts, what you can do is you can swap from white bread to things like the flaxseed wraps. Andy did an awesome video on this, and you can check out that recipe and a lot of other healthy recipes that are also delicious on our Sweet Freedom YouTube channel. So it doesn't mean you have to eliminate all sugars in your house overnight. The idea is that you start to make the journey. So when your white sugar runs out at home, you're going to find the natural version of sugar to replace it. And then as that runs out, you're going to try maybe even a better or more natural version of the sugar until the sweet things that you're having are all nourishing on some level. Now I know I've packed a lot in there, and it can be a little overwhelming, but I want you to know that you don't have to stop all of this at once, okay? making changes slowly over time is going to be much more sustainable long term than going cold turkey overnight. So as always with Sweet Freedom, we want to remind you to be kind to yourself. And if you're feeling a little bit of overwhelm, just back off a little bit and then move back into it, because it's much better to just kind of put the brakes on and slow down than to stop because of overwhelm or fear and not continue. And remember, we're here with you and we've got your back. So by following this very simple strategy, it's going to do three things. First of all, it's going to start to evolve your palate and your body to actually prefer much more natural forms of sugar. Secondly, as I alluded to before, most of these natural sugars are a lot more expensive than the highly refined sugars. So chugging organic maple syrup every single day is not financially feasible for most of us. And that financial incentive can actually go a long way to helping us start to consume responsibly. So because these natural sugars come with natural nutrients, you're going to require less of them to feel satiated. So if you have a cookie with processed sugar in it and zero nutrients, your body is continually going to crave more. Your body and your brain will say, feed me more, because it will never truly satisfy you. Now, if you have one of our nut pucks, which contain 1 teaspoon or less of organic maple syrup, what you're going to find is maybe 1 or 2 of this size nut puck is totally satisfying you. So simply put, the more you nourish, the less you're going to crave. So the reason I get people to do this exercise first is because when you're in the throes of sugar addiction, the thought of giving it up is so scary and so threatening that a lot of people will get overwhelmed by it and not do anything, not take any action, and continue to eat sugar. I believe in progress, not perfection. And please don't underestimate this. Although it's simple, it actually has the potential to have a profound effect on your relationship with food. Simply by upgrading your sweet choices to much more natural versions, sugar is going to have less of a grip on you, and your chances of having long-term success will start to increase exponentially. So this doesn't mean I'm giving you license to chug all the organic maple syrup you can find. Consuming natural sugars in unnatural amounts will still lead to an imbalance in your body. And to really get started on your Sweet Freedom journey, you need to start to introduce sugar-free nourishment. And just in case you're a little concerned that that might be boring and not truly delicious, I want to let you know that I have tons of ways of converting people, even the hardest vegetable haters, into vegetable lovers and embracers. So in the next video, I'm putting my chef's hat on, my apron too, and using my 30+ years of experience as a chef to show you how to make 3 delicious, nourishing meals that have more nutrients in them than most people in North America are actually getting in a week. And I'm going to show you how to make them simply, fast, and so they taste absolutely delicious. I want to say thank you and congratulations. I am so proud of you for getting this far. So please, in the comments below, share with me about your experience about sugar addiction, because I know that sharing has a very powerful way of engaging us, and it's the first step to actually starting to take action. And also, feel free to ask any questions. I will be reading all of the comments and answering your questions, so don't be shy. Bring it on. And go ahead and please share this with anyone that you know who might be suffering with sugar addiction or could benefit from this information. Because at Sweet Freedom, we have a goal. We want to help over 1 million people beat sugar addiction for good, to step into the lives that they're truly meant to be living. So grab your chef's hat or apron, and I'll see you in the next video.